Good afternoon, Mr. Freeman Vines.
How you doing there?
Doing good. My name is Ndubuisi C. Ezeluomba. I am the Francois Richardson. I'm the Francois Billion Richardson curator of African art at the New Orleans Museum of Art in the city of New Orleans.
Might have taken the beaches there. Sure is.
Right. And I came to New Orleans from the museum in Richmond, Virginia. Before I got to Virginia, I was at the university in Florida, in Gainesville. And before then, I came from West Africa. Specifically, I came from Nigeria. So I come from all these multiple backgrounds until I got here. And it is a big pleasure for me to have been asked to have a conversation with you this afternoon. It will be a great honor to get to know who you are as detailed as you can before we go into the conversation this afternoon.
Right.
Mr. Freeman Vines. Over to you, sir.
To me, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just somebody that was making guitars, looking for a sound which I never found, and run into some unique wood that young man had been lynched on and everything. That's what Tim was interested in, more so than other stuff. But that's about it. I played a few blues in shot houses and stuff, which ain't important, and different stuff like that right there. I really would just call me an ordinary person.
Well, they always say ordinary people does extraordinary things. And that is the exciting part of our conversation this afternoon. Shortly when I moved to New Orleans in 2018, I met a photographer guy. His name is Tim Duffy. I think he was having a show in the museum that year. And then he popped up this, this image of, very exciting guitars. And we got talking. And that was where the name Freeman Vines kind of popped, when he told me that, he knows the artists that create these wonderful guitars. And we spoke a little bit about that.
Right.
And I think my fascination about your guitar is that they help me recall quite a number of masking traditions that emanates from Africa. I'm going to speak about that a little bit as we go along.
Right.
But I think the exciting part of seeing your creation, your guitars specifically, really created this curiosity in me to wanting to know what really was the motive, or what motivation did you get to kind of venture into that that arena of creating this wonderful and history-packed guitars.
Well, what happened was when I was messing with guitars a long time, and wanted to be the best blues man there was, but as I come out of my shop one evening, in the evening, something happened. I can't explain what it was, but it wasn't music. It was more or less a feeling, as if the whole thing went through me, and it left a sound that almost ran me crazy for a while. Then I started to mess with guitar, trying to find the sound. Never found it though. And I have dealt with all kind of wood, every kind of wood. I even bought some wood from a guy named, I forgot his name now, named Monkey Paw. He claimed that it worked so good for the vibration and stuff, but ended up with a mask, and that was about it about that. I never found that sound, but I found out that the other people have experienced that sound around the world that I don't even know nothing about. I was having me watching TV one night, they were interviewing these people, and the way they described it was the same thing but me, same thing. And then here comes the wood, see. I bought this wood from a man, won't call his name, down the road. He was pushing down his buildings and stuff. I didn't know he was at the point of death. He was about 89 or 90 years old. Then he died a few years later. So he told me as he sold me the wood, he said, you might not want that wood. That's a call. A man was hung, he said, not lynched, but hung on that tree. I went on and threw the wood in the corner. Didn't think no more about it. And Tim came over looking at it. He said, what you got to do with that wood there? I told him, I said, later on, I might build some guitars. He went on about his business. I told him the story about the hanging and stuff. Then he came back with newspaper clippings. He came back with evidence that the man actually had been lynched on the tree and found witnesses around here of the descendants that done it. And then I started working with the wood, and something strange about working with that wood. It had all that stuff in there. All you had to do, every design that was in that wood was in there. And all you had to do was take a white brush and scrape it, and there it was. And it sounded kind of strange when I hooked it up, put the pickups in and hooked it up. It sounded kind of strange, so I left it alone. Here come Tim again. And he said, if you trust me, said, I'll take these guitars and do something with them. I said, wow. I said, they're mighty ugly. He said, to me, it's art. He said, it's art. I hadn't thought about it as art, but I knew that these designs were in there. So he got them and carried them on. And then I continued making them out of different types of wood, like 100-year-old pianos and this and that right there. The young wood, don't do nothing to me. Actually, I can't even hardly mess with it. You can't. But I did some strange vibes. Well, you might not understand it being an educated man like you. But there's some strange stuff that be happening when you messing with that wood late at night. Strange stuff. I dare not tell nobody in detail because they ain't gonna believe it. I wouldn't if somebody told me. You did.
Wow, that is really wonderful. I think to a large extent I can relate with what you're saying because from the part of the world where I come from, we have something almost similar. Wood that are used in the construction of masks in various cultures, come from that kind of idea as well. It is not every wood you go pick out in the forest that can be used to represent maybe an ancestral spirit or a spirit mask that needs to come back, that needs to be danced in the community. There are certain woods that are set aside for that. And also, and also there are some kinds of, there are some kinds of, ritual enactments that actually help make the finished work like activated, like potent enough to carry out the function for which it was intended in the first place. So for instance, let me see if I can share my screen. I have a mask out here. It is from the, see if I can find you. Okay. Yeah, I have a mask here. Let me see if I can share my screen. Share screen. What screen am I sharing now? Just bear with me a second. I'm trying to share my screen to show you something that I'm talking about.
Right. I had one of them masks where cut do so and put a guitar neck on it. It also was monkey part.
Right. Okay, now this is the thing I'm trying to share. Can you see that? Can you see that mask up there?
That is nice, man.
Yeah. This mask was created by the Dan people of Liberia today. So in the books, it is called the Dan masks. What those masks does is that it is very fascinating because the masks were created with different kinds of eye mannerisms. So there are some that that has this kind of round, you know, fully open eyes, and there are some that are kind of like sleepy eyes. What people doesn't know is that they made the mask to like be in a series. So when the eyes are closed, it means that the spirit is asleep.
Oh.
And then when the eyes are this open, it means that the spirit are awake. But the process of, you know, kind of reconciling this open and closed kind of eye appearance is the music. So I'm going to fold this screen, this share screen back. So I will now kind of speak a little bit about the kind of music that you play. Can you tell us the kind of music you play, and how the music, you know, feed back to what you are doing?
Well, I played with some gospel groups. I found out they were fakes. I mostly played shot house blues, and there's something about shot house blues that you take a few snorts, you know, you kind of feel like you are the music belongs to you, like that right there, and got pretty good at it one time till the woman, she quit, and everything didn't go right from then on. But then I started playing, you know, for gospel groups, and find out they just as bad as the shot house folks. So they ain't no different. Why do all that riding with a suit on when you could go in just like your ears and play the music? And folks, more or less, the shot house people enjoy music better than the Christian type folks. Because see, they want you to do everything their way. If you ain't doing it their way, you're wrong. You know, the music, there's something happened to it. Well, I call myself a blues man, cause that's all I know to call myself. But there's something happened to a blues man once he get there. Listening at the twanging and bending the strings and stuff and everything, and the folks, well, blues people can't sing to start with. But the hollering they do and everything come together, then, I mean, you feel pretty good about it. And you ain't never heard a blues man that could sing to start with. They all sound bad. Blues women, too. And the guitarists is all the licks they make where folks think they're making on purpose. They can't do it twice because the situation ain't the same and the feeling ain't the same.
So when you make blues music, do you think that is more like, does it strike you as more like you are making a propitiation to maybe you are kind of commemorating maybe somebody or commemorating something that may have happened in history or something like that?
I don't know how you know that, but that's exactly the way it feels.
Really?
It's hard to explain, because when school time comes, my mother always told me with a third grade education, say you don't need an education to apply music. That's what she said. So the third education, and when I mean educated folks like you, I had to think a minute or two, cause I mean, if you uneducated, educated people know and explain stuff different than you know, you listen real good. And the blues music is something from way back yonder, hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but you can't change it. You said to yourself, well, I'm gonna play this gospel music. Then you find out that you ain't happy doing that. I'm gonna play this country music. You find out you ain't happy doing that. You go right back to the blues again. Blues, corn, whiskey, and women's.
Wow, right. You are quite an exciting human being. You know, you just make me, you know, you make me really very excited because some of the things that you are relating to us in this conversation, you know, just like I earlier said, it has kind of strong relationships to what I was made to know growing up as a little boy in Africa, and what I have been able to document in the course of my academic journey, and so it is quite exciting. You made mention of a sound that you set out to find, and you haven't been able to find that sound.
Can't find it. It's
yes.
It was more. I don't know why I'm not saying it right, but you know what I'm talking about. Hey, you ever bump your elbow and then that strange feeling be in there?
Mm-hmm.
you know, hit that elbow a certain place. And well, that's the way it felt. But there were more added on to it. It seems as if I was the music myself. Strangest feeling I ever had in my life. I went in the house and told the wife, I said, pinch me, woman, and see if I'm dead. Quick, faster than a hurry. She said, no, you ain't dead because you talking. Then I told her what happened and stuff. She asked me, she said, have you been over there to Louetta drinking that cone whiskey again? I said, no, I ain't drunk no cone whiskey. Like I said, it bothered me for years and years. I ain't searched him, making myself dream, trying to find the sound. Never found it. On their instrument, and have played the best. The best sounding instruments are them where I make to me. The one of those guitars that Duffy did something with, I think in the museum or something. If you ever listen at it, and with your knowledge of stuff like I'm talking about, with your knowledge of stuff, you will hear a different sound on that instrument than you ever heard on a guitar. Sound like a guitar, but it ain't really the guitar. It's that feeling, that vibration it gives you. If you ever get a chance to pluck one on them, you will find out what I'm talking about. One man plucked one and he told me, he said, have you been to the roof doctor? I said, no, Dr. Buzzer dead. And that was the end of that about the roof doctor. Roof doctor, Dr. Buzzer, Delzora Pettiford, and you've been to New Orleans, you probably heard of her.
Oh, yeah.
A witch, Delzora Pettiford, Dr. Buzzer, and I'm getting off in the subject now. I leave that alone. I get
it's fine. It's fine. You're very fine. There's a conversation between yourself and myself. I am actually looking at what you're doing from the perspective of African brothers across the Atlantic, and that is the fascination I get. So if I may turn this conversation to something rather personal to see how you react to that. Do you think that the voice or the sound that you have been searching for that you haven't found, do you think that voice is manifesting itself in the actual heads of guitars that you create?
It's that sound and that feeling is something it's hard to explain. Like I said, them folks on TV, they experience the same thing. I ain't never talked to them, never heard of them, but they experienced the same thing. They wasn't musicians. And I could never understand about it. But it embellished what I know, though, because I can play an instrument. I ain't even in tune. By fretting the strings in different positions, I ain't got to be in tune. I can listen at a whole John Brown group of people playing music and tell you directly which instrument is out of tune and which string it is. I don't know how I do it. One guy said I had perfect pitch. But before that incident, I couldn't do it. It did something to me.
Right.
Sure did.
Yeah, that's also very, very exciting to hear, because the art of creating commemorative or ancestral objects in Africa is always a very highly spiritual kind of thing, where you don't assume the responsibility by yourself. You are chosen. And how you're chosen is that you really don't know what is happening to you, and all of a sudden you just become a medium creating stuff. That is, it's like what happens most of the times, which means that you have been picked, you have been specially picked to really do that. So looking at your work, do you think that you represent maybe somebody that has been chosen to go and create these things?
I sure
and if you think so,
I really believe it. I believe so. I'm representing somebody that done gone on and either coming after me because see, this is something other in wiring guitar. I didn't know nothing about no wire. Here you come, power, ping. And my wiring schematics, they have guys offering me good money for them, and I won't tell them. I got it up here, and I got all under heat so that when I kick the bucket, my sister's gonna be in control of it. But that spiritual stuff, See, I can talk to you about it because folks don't understand what I'm saying ordinarily. Like I told you about that Deals over Pettiford and them folks, what made me look at them, they had to have some type of spiritual power. They had to. They may use it wrong, they may use it right, but they had to know something that every man didn't know. They had to. Ain't no way around it.
That's true.
Yeah,
So,
see, you talking what I understand about the spiritual thing. Oh, you can't tell folks that because the first thing they'll ask you is, yo, home food, is you saved? That's the first thing that comes to their mind about some spirit. And it ain't all about that. As you said a while ago, it's a gift. Because if you could have the gift that you wanted, the first thing I would want was a whole pile of money and some good-looking ladies.
Yeah. Can you tell us any exciting story, maybe like an encounter that you have had, maybe from the very first time you turned your focus into making guitars, or maybe when you go out on the stage to perform? Just a personal story. It could be very long, it could be very short, but you know, it has to be a little bit clearer so that we can find that connection between what you do and the general idea of you know, your art.
Right. Well, going on the stage is it's not the same as a shot house. Because the first thing is when you see all the people, just feeling come over. But then when you get in the mix of what you're supposed to do on that stage, you don't see the people. You hear the people singing and you playing with them and stuff, but you don't see the folks. And I consider that, you know, in myself to be spiritual cause. Where do the people go? Your eyes still open. Now that's just me now. I don't know about the other folks. But if I could ever find that sound, I would be a happy guy just to hear it one more time. One more time.
I'm sure that the sound will just be somewhere waiting for you to pluck it.
You think so?
It could be very close, yes. It could be really very close.
Man, I sure hope it is, because I've been sick for this quite a while. Like to run crazy one time.
Well, I speak from you know, certain kind of, you know, esoteric knowledge of the traditional belief, the traditional religious practices of many African cultures. I have been a faithful, a very obedient disciple of, you know, some of the cultural practices of our ancestors. Although my specialization is, you know, water spirit veneration. The people that I study the most are the Benin people that the British destroyed the kingdom in 1897. And they looted quite a number of art objects from the palace of the king. But you know, I studied water spirits because it was very exciting that, you know, water spirit was actually found for where wealth, materiality, and social connections happened way back in time. So Europeans came to Africa coming through boats, and they came through the waters. And many of our ancestors that were taken away from Africa to America, that was achieved because they had to cross the Atlantic on boats as well. So you know, when you sit down to analyze the big idea behind water spirit veneration, you see all these nuances of, you know, wealth, materiality, connection, social relations, and all these things kind of happening, you know, in that you know, medium or means, which is water. I see the same connection with what you do here with wood. Did you specifically, or did you perchance, you know, understudy something that had to do with wood construction before you ventured into making guitars using wood?
Well, it's hard to answer that because, you know, wood was there, and later on it became a decision that this strange feeling about wood, you look good and lay it in the corner and don't bother you no more. Some look bad. You keep messing with it and find out that that's the wood that look and sound the best. All wood ain't got the same tonal quality. And all wood ain't got the same figures in it. I reckon I said that right. But it's just something about it hard to explain. Just like the old pianos now. I found out from a wood expert that he told me that the tones had beat the wood so much that the fiber was loose, and that's why it vibrates so good, the way it sounds so good. The wood enhances the sound of the pickups and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't look at it like that.
So how do you look at it?
I looked at it as being over 100 years old and being comfortable working with it and it doing what I wanted to do. Someone would do what he wanted to do. You glue it together and get it all like you wanted and stuff. Then you go back and find out it decided it didn't want to be put together that way. Then you had to start over again. But the piano wood is this wood comfortable to work with. Real light, good finish, and a good sound. Sounds real good. Vibrates well. I have figured out a way to put sound chambers in there by my brother-in-law's a drummer. And we're sitting there one day, I noticed he was tapping the drum here and he tapped it there. I said, Kurt, why you don't hit the drum in the middle all the time? He said, simple. He said, in the middle of the drum, blah, blah, blah. And then the edge of the drum do this and that right there, which I forgot what he said because drums don't impress me too much. And then I thought about the guitar. If that guitar had sound chambers where each one could vibrate a certain amount of vibration to enhance the strings, all fine and well. But later on, I found out each one of those, the heavy side of the strings on the guitar have to have different chambers than the side with the treble on. So I had to work on that a year or two and kind of got that straightened out.
You grew up in Snow Hill Green County.
Yeah, the worst county in the world. Oxdale, Mississippi.
Right, and you rightly said so in the book. Do you still live in Snow Green County today?
Nah, I don't go over there unless absolutely necessary.
Right.
Well, all the people about dead and stuff, but it brings on a strange feeling when I'm riding down them roads where they paved roads and stuff. But it brings on the same feeling when I used to have walked them roads and they were dirt roads and the man come through on the truck and throw eggs at you and put boards out and bust you upside the head and stuff. That's one reason.
Is it still that way today?
No, they ain't like that. Most of them folks are dead. The only one living now, the Grand Pooba, and he crazy. He ain't got no sense. You would think somebody would have killed him, but he owned so much land, and the black people had so many dreams that one turned into nightmares and stuff, and he stayed the rich man then and still the rich man today, and don't even know he got no money. Yeah, that's a bad place over there. Well, let's put it like this. When I say over there, that means that I done slipped back into the past, because you know it's different now. They done built schools and everything over there in them fields and stuff.
So, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about because we think what you create is art. But I know in the beginning when you were talking, you said you didn't consider what you were doing as art, but a lot of people has insinuated that. But I think they are art, and I think they are work of ingenious creation. You have made these things; they are very unique in their own way. You may want to maybe continue to refute it being art, or maybe you want to accept that it is art. going forward. But everybody might eventually have an opinion to kind of look at what you have created in their own right and kind of pass judgments if they actually are or not. What do you think about what you do? Are you an artist? Well, you are an artist, basically.
Well, after this little bit where I'm gonna leave out and everything into the lynching tree, hanging tree wood and stuff. Yeah, I looked at it as art. It was fascination to build something like that right there, build something that looked different than anybody else had and made out of different stuff, a different feeling. Well, actually a good feeling. Than just to build a flat out instrument, copying after the man that made the instrument like the torso of the woman. I changed that style. And yeah, it's art. Sure is.
Good.
It took me a while to look at it and see it as that because I didn't know nothing about art. I knew nothing about art. I knew nothing about crafts and stuff. But as I looked at it, I know that's what it was. Because I didn't want it to be like Sam, Joe, and all that crowd. I mean, it was something different about building one. Ain't no tour like it. Each inspiration come and it creates a different instrument in me, in my head. And then I put it on the wood.
A book that was written in your name was titled "Hanging Tree Gitters," and it was done by Zoe and Tim. Yeah. You know Tim and Zoe, right? And they have written this book about your work, and they have also put clips, little sentences, little sections about your words, about what you make.
Right.
I'm sure in the build-up to writing that book, they had extensive conversation with you, where you were talking about the lynching, the days of lynching, and how those kind of events played out. I mean, looking at what was happening at the time, in the days of maybe Jim Crow and all the social atrocities that was going on in the country, and kind of bringing them back to to what we are going through today as a nation, or looking at the nation today. What are the relationships, if there are any, about that period and what we are experiencing today as a people? Are there anything different? Has things changed for the better or changed for the worse? What do you think?
Well, you never know, cause see, on the traveling I did, like I said, that's minute though, but you see things that could happen if people would look into it and try to do as you done, go and get an education and find out what gonna do them so good and what ain't. Besides listening at the other folks who got their opinions and then get out hooping and hollering about it. Some things have changed. Every now and then you find something change. The only thing I see change is a man can be about who he wants to be. He ain't got to look at somebody else and grudge how he done. Or if you feel like you need some of his knowledge, go to the man and ask him. Sometimes they'd be more than glad to give it to you. Because see, that man done went through a whole lot of stuff to gain this knowledge, and all you got to do is ask them and hear it here freely. You ain't got to do nothing but just listen. That's the way I look at it.
Wow. Okay. So also following from this question, I am going to kind of continue on this path for a little bit before I go back to your work. Secondly, I think what I'm drawing at when I asked the first question was to bring it down to the current social situation in the country. You probably heard in the news about the George Floyd incidents somewhere in Minnesota, and quite a number of others around the country, and how this has precipitated a kind of social movement, and not only in America but around the world. Yeah. How do you look at this? Having come from a very long history of many of these social problems in this country.
Now, see, that's where I become under the influence of Malcolm X. See, it's been me instead of me personally now. You asked me about me. Instead of burning down the stove, hooping and hollering up and down the street, I would have took the man out where he done the crime. That's the way I would have did. But see, other people don't think like that. But that's my thinking. Go ahead on and get the job done, and that's it. Instead of exposing a lot of people to beatings and burning down people's buildings and stuff. Now, that's the only way I know. See, now, if I had went to school like you did and could think different, I would. That's what's wrong with a lot of older people my age now. They don't know. People don't know. They look at him and say, "Dang, this guy, he ain't got any medicine." No, he ain't got none. He never learned anything. Nothing but what, just a little thing where he know. Simple as that.
Yeah, in the midst of this confusion, we also kind of got into this entrapment of the coronavirus. And where you live right now, it is my assumption that you are staying safe and you're always with your mask on if you have to go around. Otherwise, you are always kind of obeying all the health instructions. This pandemic has really, kind of dealt us a very serious slow in everything we do. And I hope that your area is, is better off, because New Orleans was one of the worst hit in the country before now. Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
I went down there one time in Lafayette, and Broom jumped with a gal, and her family didn't believe in you cheating. Their family didn't believe in you cheating on the women. So I took a whole lot of whoopings before I got out of there. But when I got out of there, there ain't no way in the world I'd go back. They don't play games like these people around here. These folks around here play games. They don't play no games. Some people in New Orleans is dead serious, man. When they do something, they serious. These folks around here play games. They'll do anything to get on television. Did you see me on TV the other day? What did that prove about being on television? But right. I don't think I never want to go in that place where I was in no more. Because I think Katrina took care of that, though.
Right. During your, I believe you still perform, you still go on stage. Before we were slowed down by the virus. Did you ever come to perform in New Orleans? Maybe did you bring your band, or did you come with a band to New Orleans? Did you enjoy this whole idea of the Mardi Gras carnival?
I didn't ever get into the Mardi Gras, and the guys I went down there with, Frank Sarah and Bonzi Chamberlain, fooled me that they were professional musicians. And that, when we got down there, it was a family thing. Most of the folks that played to the houses and stuff were never family. They fooled me all the way from High Point. And they couldn't find out. I could have done the same thing right down here. But they told me they were fame and fortune and this and first one thing. Met them working for a construction company. They weren't truthful at all.
Wow. Have you had similar experiences from other places, or just this is the experience you had from New Orleans?
Well, we used to go down me and a guy named Cecil Harris, which he thought he was going to get famous and fool me out. Well, we'd go different places down in the southern states. I think they call them the Delta, and he done all the driving, so I didn't know the deal about that. We were going and stuff, but when we get down there, they would be hollering, nobody there. Yeah, he done told me about all the folks who gonna be there. Well, ain't hollering nobody there, but the big guys won't there where we went at. Just the local people, a little bit of stuff. See, he was from the Black Bottoms in Atlanta, Georgia, I think he called it. Black something or other in Atlanta, Georgia. But he came up here, working in the green tobacco, and that's how I run up with him. He sure fooled me though.
Wow.
We had folks down there doing programs like big guys. I mean, let's see, one time there was a guy had a gig down there named Solomon Burke and Ike Tina Turner, different place and everything. And where we were playing that, man, there wouldn't be nobody there. Nobody. They'll make a fool out of you when you got a little taste of money they help them travel with, and they tell you about all that fame and fortune and stuff. You already know that though, but outside I would see it anyway.
I am going to share my screen again with you to show you the cover of the book. Can you see the cover of the book?
Yeah. Look.
And that is you, right? Holding a guitar.
That's me.
The very first guitar there has this this thing that looks like a tree. Is that a tree?
That was that instrument was being created with the guy told me that was a Celtic something other on there on the back of it. I didn't never know what it was because I didn't get too deep in there.
Huh. And then you recreated that.
Yeah,
right?
But I left out some of the stuff, we were on it and kind of did it my way.
So are you able to speak about the shapes of your guitar heads, especially the ones that you're seeing in front of you now? Can you say anything about those heads, what they represent, or if they represent something? And how you came, or how you were inspired to create that. If you can talk on each and every one of them there are like 7 of them hanging up there.
Let me see now. I got to ease up on it. Well, you see the monkey part guitar down there between the legs. That's the one way I got from the African guy, Kuddu. He claimed, I don't know who he was. But anyway, the next guitar was made out of beside the Celtic guitar was made out of, I think I did that one on a chill leg. The next one, I was going to let it be a devil face, but that didn't work out. But I left it like it was because it looked pretty good to me. And the next one was never square. That was some scrap wood I made that one with, but it came out that looked all right to me. And the next one was a leaf. And the other 2 were just conventional pieces of wood that I glued together, and they came out that shape like that right there.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I'm looking at the guitar that you're holding.
Right, that's the one made out of monkey part.
And it looks like a face.
It was an African mask.
An African mask.
Yeah, it was
interesting.
The guy.
Do you know the culture in Africa where the idea of the mask come from?
I have no idea, cause see this guy here, where I got that thing from. It wasn't carved all that good when I got it, but I embellished it, and he told me later on, a year later, he said, "You messed it up." So now it ain't don't value nothing. So I put a neck on it. He said it was better off. It was better off carved crude like it was than it sanded down and shining and stuff like that right there, and put eyes in it and stuff. But I did that so I could put pickups on.
Wow! If I have to put up a mask and show you that is from one of those Western African cultures, I would like to see what you think. So while we are talking, I am just gonna go and find what I'm trying to explain to you and show you and see what you think. If that was by any chance where the idea for that a guitar head, emanate. I think it was, I looked at it very closely now, and I immediately made connection with the, Sunday culture of the coastal part of Western Africa. They created this mask specifically for, women. They were really very beautiful masks. And it was commissioned and danced by just women.
I didn't know what it was. Kuddu. That wasn't his name. He had a long name, but he broke it down so folks could call him Kuddu. And he had a whole lot of stuff there, but that was the only thing I got from him, and he begged me to get it.
Okay. Yeah. I think
He
I
came
found it.
over here and started drinking, and actually, I ain't got to tell you how he ended up, hanging with our homeboys.
Can you see that one on your screen now?
Looking right at it. That is remarkable, ain't it?
Does it have any relationship to what you think you have created there?
It sure
Well, I
has.
thought, yeah, I sure saw that connection. And this mask is referred to as the Sunday, the women society mask of the Sunday culture in the present day Sierra Leone. They made this mask specifically to this mask kind of speak to the elegance of women, the elegance and grace of women in society. They are those who are saddled with the responsibility of nurturing community, nurturing family, expanding community as well through fertility, through childbirth and things, and all those very beautiful and positive things that go with the enhancement of society. So the mess that you have, I'm just going to leave that here now, and then we now speak about that particular image that you were holding that had the face.
Right.
Was it a commission, or you just made it out of the fact that you wanted to create something that looked like that?
No, it was roughly the upper part of that didn't have them wrinkles and stuff like that. I took and put them in there. And the forehead was crudely carved where you could see the chisel marks and stuff. I sanded them out, see. Put eyebrows and stuff. It was a real work of art if I had left it alone, but too late now.
Well, it's I think it's never too late for a work of creativity, as long as you look still very active to me. It's my assumption that you are still hitting it. You are still making those guitars, or did you stop?
No, I'm still doing it and stuff. I've kind of been looking for wood here and wood there and some small parts called. It has got to be bad about stuff being shipped. And you know what they do now? They put a little tag down there, not to handle it without gloves and do this and that right there for a few days and stuff, set it aside in the sun, depending on what it is and what container it is. The company, they put a little warning sign down there, kind of the virus. They don't want you to dive right down there with naked hands and then reach your hand into assemblies.
Yeah. Oh, so in creating your guitars, you actually use heavy machines, do you?
No, all of my tools are hand tools. Some of them are handmade and some ain't.
So what are the kinds of tools that you have that you use in making your guitars?
I use rasp, I use sandpaper, I use knives and they don't call them knives, they call them chisels and stuff, and just ordinary stuff made to do the particular thing I'm doing. Now I had some kind of machines and everything, but it just wasn't fun to use. It just wasn't. It took all the John Brown fun and joy out of doing it.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
To do it the bad way, the rough way.
Right. All the crafts people, well, I call them artists today, that created religious objects in Africa. That is also the way they use very, very traditional kind of tools like the adze that is used to just peel out the backs of trees and things, and eventually just kind of do the slash and things with all these very big locally smithed tools. And if you ask them, the whole idea is that is what leaves the fun of what they do. But if you go through the machine, which is what they call modern way of doing it, you kind of lose a lot of fun you get when you are in this close contact, because in that closeness you are really able to carefully deal with some part of the word differently than how you deal with the other part. So I see that connection. Okay, so in building your guitar, have you been able to, well, have anybody on it, do you have like a group of people who come to learn how to make this from you, or this is just a one-man show? You have been it and just you.
One-man show. Cause most of the people, and you have experienced it, or you've been around, most of the people do not, if you giving them some advice or something other, something you done experience and know what you're talking about, they don't want to hear it. They do not want to hear it for some reason. And how many years of a man thrown away learning that you need to know, and he can walk away with all that knowledge in a few minutes. So I quit trying to let people do stuff because they won't listen to it. They'll go telling you about this tool and that tool. I could buy most of the tool I want, called Harbor Freight sale tool cheap. But I prefer if I'm gonna do a bow type instrument, I prefer to take my little tool where I made and scrape it out, chip at the time till I get it my desired way. Not a machine saying, here, here, I got it like you want it now. That takes away all the fun.
But if you are asked, or are you open for people to really know what you are doing? Are you open for that, for people to come and see what you're doing?
Yeah.
In different ways, maybe through like a documentary of someone documenting what you're doing, and then kind of having that out there for people to see. Are you open to that sort of thing?
Yeah, the folks come here, but very seldom, every now and then, black people will come and this and that right there. But the people that seem like more interested in what you're doing and stuff that ask questions and give you time to answer, even if you ain't educated and got to use the method that you know to explain it, they don't feel offended. But here come a brother, man, hey, yo, home pool, I know this guy here where y'all do it this way, and she ain't interested in that. But that's the way the ball bounce down here. I don't know whether you never experienced that or not, but there's some knotheads come through every now and then. Used to when I was living on 264, man, they would me to death. And won't want to do nothing. Nothing. Go right back to the crack house and smoke crack.
Yeah, I think it falls with that idea that they say they always say sometimes that a king is not valued in his homestead. You
got it.
Your value is kind of way overboard. People know you from farther afield than folks do around you.
Now you have wrote a whole book, and in my kind of language, they ain't studying where you live at. They ain't thinking about it. Now, if I could have went to school and got that kind of education you got, it would have been totally different. But my education is minute to when I meet a man like you, call, and I ain't ashamed to admit it. I sure ain't. Because once you get so much pride that a person, well, so I can help him with that word there. Maybe he said that wrong. All that do is make you a little bit wiser, and you can explain just a little taste better. If you keep an open mind.
That's it. That's the spirit. Keep an open mind. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Mr. Vines, it has been a really wonderful time hanging out with you this afternoon and, kind of speaking about what you do. I am really so much happy that I had this opportunity because opportunities such as this are very rare. I know why I say they are very rare is because those people chosen by the deities or the ancestors to, create very powerful religious objects in many African cultures. These are people that most times you don't even get the opportunity to meet. And when they finish their work of creativity and then hands it off to the custodians of these objects, the actual objects becomes kind of take up the agency of the particular maybe ancestor that it represents. And so you know, that in your own case has also kind of helped to see how you have been used as a vessel, or, you know, yes, as a medium to, like, you know, capture all this historical events that has happened, and you kind of capture them in this, you know, guitar heads that you have created. So, you know, it's really very wonderful to, you know, meet folks, not folks anymore, because you are kind of an artist. You are an artist right now. You're no longer, you know, seen as somebody that is making craft. You are actually making something that is worth studying. And I think it is an opportunity that I am privileged to have this conversation. And then going forward, part of the last question I asked, if you were interested in, you know, kind of people documenting what you do and writing about you, so that the larger audience away from your home will be privileged to, you know, kind of hear, you know, kind of meet the man and see what the man has made. You know, because you, to me, having had this conversation with you, I immediately see you as a vessel. A vessel, which means that you are like, you know, a process through which the spirit manifests itself in the physical. And I am really very happy that this happened today. I cannot thank you enough for taking out the time to, you know, sit with me and have this conversation. But, you know, it is an honor. And before I kind of hit the you know, final close marks, I really want for you to just reflect. Tell us anything that you think you want to tell humanity about what is happening today, and then also tell us a little bit about what you have enjoyed in this journey of, you know, helping create history on these guitars that you make.
Well, speaking to the folks, what I see the young folks doing is making a mockery of our traditional music. They're making a mockery with all that genre and bad language and stuff like that right there, where it don't make sense. And the journey is, if I can keep going, and as you said a while ago, not in this manner I'm gonna say, but if I can just come close to that sound, I would be accomplished what I set out to do. And I listen to the guys, they have the radios on with all the profanity and stuff. These are enough good words to use without using profanity. And it don't make sense. And the bad word they use, soon as somebody call them by that bad word and stuff and everything, then they get mad. But yet they entertain themselves with it off in their music. I can understand that. But the journey I'm trying to complete, if I could just hear just one ting-a-ling of that sound, I'm gonna keep right on dealing with the instruments, and maybe somewhere down the line I hear it again. And talking about meeting folks, you don't know how tickled I'm here to meet a man of your caliber. Cause I tell you, it ain't every day you see a man like you is talking to a man like me. Cause most educated folks, they don't care too much about uneducated people. They don't know that some things they can say can last that man a lifetime and help him too. They just don't have no idea. But it's the well-educated people that's concerned about the uneducated people. I mean, a lot of folks claim to me, hey man, I don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what I'm talking about because they don't listen. Maybe I don't phrase the words right. Maybe I don't say them like they're supposed to be said, but that's the way I learn. And you can't change it momentarily. It takes a while.
Yeah, the kind of work that you make really entails paying very close attention, because it is only then that you are actually being told things that the ordinary cannot understand. Well, as we go along, like I told you when we started this conversation, that I am sure that the sound you seek could just be lying around,
I sure
waiting
you
for when you plant.
have inspired me to seek it even more now.
Yes. And the next time I'm on the phone speaking with you, I should be happy to hear that I found it. Come over and let me show you the sound. I'll be happy. I'll jump in the next flight and I'll come right around where you are and I'll see you play.
Oh, God, that inspired me. I'm feeling good and I ain't had that shot of brain.
It was good to talk to you, Mr. Vines, and I hope we can converge very soon to kind of have another round of conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
I thank you for putting up with me. Most folks claim they can't understand what I say.
It happens, but we are all humans. But trust me, you are one genius that God has kept for us until today. And it was really a privilege to talk to you. Thank you, sir.
I consider it a privilege talking to you.